Okay, so chapter 11 goes into nested proportions. So we're just getting a little bit more complicated in what we're doing with proportions, mostly because we're dealing with two or more categorical variables. Chapter goes over 4 different types of these. So we have mosaic plots, tree maps, which are very similar to one another, nested pies, and then parallel sets. Quick preview, the only one of these that's easy to do in Tableau are the tree maps. Everything else is possible, but super annoying. And so I will demonstrate the one that's easy. I have links in the notes for each of those slides to give you some guidance if you wanted to try to do one of these more complicated ones on your own. All right, so mosaic plots they're also called Marimekos, or sometimes just Mekos for short. These are really interesting because they're basically like combining a column. Oh, that didn't work. A column and a row graph together at the same time. So if you see over here, there's different thicknesses going on the width that represents weight, as well as the proportion split from top to bottom. So there's a lot of information going on in here at once. This is definitely not one of those things where you're paying attention to specifically, like, I want to know the number of this. This is one of those things where you're looking for trends, basically, for this kind of database. And yeah, the setup for this is very, very complicated. The links included will walk you through those if you want to give it a try. But this kind of gives you an idea of how many different pieces need to be in place in order to get this to work out correctly. So you're going to have to do calculations and stuff in order to make this work. Tree maps look very similar in that we've got different size rectangles and such. However, this is the one that actually Tableau does very easily. These are actually kind of cool because it can be one or more variables, so you can just do them with one by itself. Like the one here, this one actually is multiple, it looks like. And how can I tell? It's because of these thicker white lines in here, because to see how this block just goes like big to little, then these are bigger again. Yeah, so these are read as the weight of the box. So we're not paying attention to their location as much as just how much area it takes up. These look very cool. They're very much meant to compare the biggest groups kind of thing. And a lot of times you'll see it like this, where it has a lot of different groups. The small ones will even lose their labels because they're not really significant in the story that you're trying to tell here. You're really just looking at the big ones. And here I'm going to actually switch to Tableau for a quick demonstration. So for this, we are looking for something. We need to have some sort of numerical thing, and we need to have some sort of categorical thing. So we're going to use the same ones. I'm actually going to exclude my nulls right now. And then you can see that this lights up. That's our tree map. Boom, there we go. Nice and simple. We've got our companies. Those of you who like things to line up, these might drive you crazy. You see on the mouse over that we've got the helpful count as the count. If we wanted to have that as a label as well, we just take that and stick it on there. There we go. What happens if we wanted to do a % of? It gives us that right there. You can see on the mouse over, it's echoing it. For this, usually you don't want percentages though, you really do want the big numbers if you're gonna have numbers there. But again, a lot of times you don't even bother having those because when it gets to small ones, I think job title might actually be a good example of that. We're gonna remove actually let me remove that, and then not sure if this is set up correctly. There we go. Yep. All right. That is our not answered one. Okay, so here, yeah, you can see, so these are all the different job titles of all the people in Glassdoor who rated one of these companies. So the biggest ones are software engineer, program manager, software development engineer, senior software engineer. So these big ones are the ones that count. Do we care what this little one is? No, because there's only one person, but on the mouse server, you can get all of them if you want. So yeah, so that's a good example. This is again, just one variable. Okay, I'm gonna take job title off of this because it's gonna get ridiculous. Go back to company, go back here, and let's say that we wanted to add in our second variable. And here again, let's exclude the nulls. So here they kind of put them side to side, and you can kind of see easily that there's a lot more current employees overall compared to the former employees that have given the ratings, or at least they were current at the time, right? And you can still see the proportions of each of those groups together. So the nice thing about tree maps is that they, especially if they fit together, these two together don't that well, but especially if they fit together, they're a really good use of space. I do tend to like them when it's just one. So they use the space really well. They don't, with pie graphs and stuff, because they're circular, they kind of waste space. So visually they're kind of nice. But again, very hard to directly compare, just like the pie charts. Okay, so those are tree maps. Nested pies. So these can look very cool, especially when you get into different programs that are specifically designed to do this kind of stuff. They're a lot harder to read because either you get effects like this where there's stuff that's upside down, or they're awkwardly all actually equal, and that doesn't look as good either. You know, it can be, yeah, it just looks terrible. Like there's never enough room for these bigger things. It just gets really, really messy really quick. So yeah, like, do I really want to read this thing? No. Can I look at it from a distance, go like, yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, of course. So yes, you can make these in Tableau. They don't make it easy. So again, there's a link. Our author disparages them a lot and suggests doing a deep dive kind of pie chart thing. Honestly, I wouldn't bother with all that. They do say that going with the tree maps or mosaics is a better choice, and I would concur. The last one of these in here is this parallel sets. Again, these are one of the more modern type of visualization. They look really, really cool, especially if you got data that plays nice with it. It doesn't have like a lot of tangers that cross over and makes it hard to read. Tableau, again, they can do it. It does not turn out as pretty as this. It's all straight lines and awkward. And it's, again, a lot of work. So that's just why I'm not going to bother trying to learn it and demo it for you really quick. There's software that does this stuff easier than Tableau because they're meant to do this kind of stuff specifically. But it's good to know what they are, and that they can, like this, show many categories. They can also just show two categories really, really well also. Okay, yeah, so that is that is the extent of the nested proportions.